Okay, here we are, and what we're going to do in this video is have a look at the actual coding or programming, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be required for doing our hovercraft vehicle and to get everything set up and compiled and ready to go into the game. Now, I've already tried to do this video once and it went on and on and on and on and on, and I got bored with it, so I'm sure you would have got bored with it, because all I was doing is basically copy and pasting all these names into certain files and cross-referencing, and trust me, you didn't want to watch it. And anyway, when I tried to save it, it was just overtime and wouldn't play, because using Cam Studio and the normal video codecs, I went over my size limit and that was that. So right, let's stop burbling and let's get on and see what we actually have to do to get all this up and running. Well, the first thing we have to do, alright, is go into your username. Remembering this is a Vista setup, so if you're on XP it'll be slightly different. Find your Unreal Tournament 3 folder. It's not the installed folder, it's where your, let's say, your game saves, your normal config files, your unpublished folder is, things like that. Now what we have to do straight away before we go any further is go into the SRC folder. Now you can see here there's quite a few in here that I've been playing around with over the last few months. Now what we need is our own folder. As you can see, I've got it set up here, UT3 Geo Hovercraft. That is going to be our folder, our code package name. Slightly different from the content package name, so we don't get any hiccups where it's trying to compile the content when it should only be compiling the code. Okay, now inside that we have a folder called classes, and in the classes folder we have the 4 UC files that we require to make our vehicle work. Now I'm just going to grab these, chuck them into context, and you're going to wonder, where on earth have I got all these things from? Well, as you can imagine, with this being a hovercraft, what is the closest vehicle in UT3 that is going to behave possibly like a hovercraft? Think about it. Okay, time's up. We're going to use the Manta. Now, what I suggest any of you people do is go onto the Unreal Development Network website and download the latest script source file. Now it says here UT3 script source 1.5. I know you're going to say, well, there isn't a 1.5 patch. Oh, you're quite right. This actual source set is for the 2.1 source files. Okay, 2.1 patch is the 1.5 source. Yeah, a little bit confusing, but I'm not going to argue with them. And to be honest, if you can, obviously if you've only got the 1.3 or the 1.4, then that's up to you. But if you're starting a brand new vehicle like what we're going to be doing here, then use the latest source that you can get your hands on. Okay, so in this case 1.5, it's, you download it as a RAR file, unpack it, I always put it in here with my UT game files. Okay, so I've got easier access instead of going all over my hard drive. It's not that big, so we can live with it. Right, so where do we get the files from? Well, first off, we go into the UT game folder set. As you can see, classes. Now you can see here there's lots and lots of files in there. Now, if I remember rightly, the only one that we need, as you can see, I'm scrolling all the way down here. Yeah, very clever. Is, where's it gone? Where's it gone? There we go, the Manta. I'll just click on that. Now, we don't want it there because we'll get confused. Okay, let's just move this over here. Move this over here. Now, I don't really want to go through this a great deal, but I know people will ask, and I know people will go, well, where did he get all that from? Well, in this section, it's just the Manta. Okay. Now, I'm just double checking because I believe the rest is in the other folder. Yep. The other folder we look in is the UT game content folder. Obviously, go in there, yeah, classes as a subfolder. Now, in here, when we go down the bottom yet again, there's another 3 files that we need from here. Now, we have the Manta content. We then have UT vehicle factory Manta. So I just hold in control, select that one as well, and there's one more that we need, which you need to go down a little bit further, is the UTV Unreal Tournament Vehicle Weapon Manta Gun. Now that's all 3 selected in there, just chuck them in here and we go bleh, like that. Now, as you can see here, quite right, I actually goofed this in the last video because I done a bit of copy and pasting and it went I've done it on the wrong one. Okay, so let's just correct that for a moment. There we go. Just save that. Yeah, okay, I do make mistakes, trust me. Now, we're going to go from here. All that I'm going to do in this video is actually show you the files and where to watch out, because what you have to do is go through each file, change these names, okay? Now obviously this one says UT Vehicle Factory Manta. Now if you look, if I can find it, here we go, up there. Let's see if I can just get that next there to make it a bit easier for me. Now obviously I've put my little line in there, bodged by GeoDav, but if you look at the rest of this section here, you got your default property, it extends the UT Vehicle Factory. We have the skeletal mesh section, so skeletal vehicle mesh, begin object, blah blah blah. Why it has to be like that, no idea, because I can't code to save my life. So anyway, skeletal mesh, it now points to our package, which was VH for vehicle, geo hovercraft, mesh subgroup, and our skeletal mesh, vehicle hovercraft. Okay, these translation section here, if you find, it's a question I answered on the forum last night, if you find that when you add a vehicle factory and it's looking a bit too far down, or when you're spawning the vehicle in and it starts too far down, then these are the values that you can change. You see, translation -70 means it's going down quite a bit. So if it's looking a bit funny, check this out, change it, go for it, and then we'll be happy with that. Right, the next thing you have to watch with the vehicle factory is the vehicle class path. Now, if you just look a quick look at the Manta factory, okay, as you can see, I just adopted all those, so we'll just leave that at that. The vehicle class factory, vehicle class path, goes to UT game content, UT vehicle Manta content. Okay, so we have to copy that to an extent, e.g. into our code package, and then the name of our content class. Now we'll have a look at the content class in a minute. So don't forget that you need the vehicle factory. Next one. Let's see if I can find it. Vehicle Manta. There we go. And vehicle hovercraft. Yep, fine. Now, A little word of warning. You will see here on the top line, it's got class UT vehicle Manta, extends UT hovercraft vehicle, well, hover vehicle. This is the bit you got to watch for. Native, and in brackets, vehicle. Now, if you look at mine, you will see I have removed that native. If you try and compile, and it goes all at you, make sure you have removed this little bit, because otherwise it won't work. Okay, so what I do when I'm going through the code is I just look down, just gently scroll down and see if there's anything that looks blatantly that is pointing to something else within the Manta package or with the Manta code. Okay, so we're going down here, you're getting doing little funny things here. There's all loads of information here. What it does, ask somebody who can code. Okay, we get to the simpler things for me, down to the default properties. Do we have to change any of this at all? Well, at the moment, no, because we're looking at health, melee range, exit radius. These are all values that you can change. Com offset, well, that does do something, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay, so we've got other things like max jump, Z velocity, obviously Z being up, so when you do the jump, how quick it jumps. Take a guess at that. Custom gravity scaling, whatever that is. Airspeed, ground speed, crouch airspeed, full airspeed. This is some things that you might want to try and play with to make it go faster or make it go slower, whichever way you want. Then you've got other ones like here, B stay upright. Yeah, that's a good idea to have that as true. Okay, there's lots. Oh, here's one that everybody likes. B ragdoll driver on dark walker horn. Now everybody's seen the dark walker stomping about, and when it toots it on and you're too close to it, your driver's going to go blah, 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 and fall out of the vehicle. Yeah, good trick. Funny, but not if you're on the receiving end. Okay, next section. This is the sim object. Now, I keep on going on that I don't know a great deal on what these things do. Now, because I don't have time to study what every single thing here does. Okay, we can have a quick look at things. Now, it says wheel suspension dampening. And you're like, it hasn't got any wheels. Well, yes, it has to an extent, but you can't see them. Okay, that is something that's going a bit deeper than what we need. We just need to know the fact that these values are there and they affect the behaviour or the handling of the vehicle. Okay, so you've got max thrust force, max reverse force, pitch torque factors, and lots of other things, and I'm like that, whoa, over my head. Okay, this, when we going slightly down, this is where you have to start changing things. Okay, now as you can see here, beginner object, what sort of object it is. Yeah, okay, class UT hover wheel. Okay, so it's a special type of wheel, and they're calling it R thruster. Now that should give you some sort of idea what this is. Alright, I'll make a wild guess. It's a thruster to make the vehicle move. Okay, so what do we have to change here? Well, the main thing we have to change here is this bone name. Now I'm trying to, I've got my little mouse here, but I know in the video I'm going to have that whirly sign from Vista of a busy mouse, so I'll try and keep that to the side. So you've got bone name equals, and in these little marks, can't remember what they're called, engine. So in our hovercraft we don't have a bone name engine. What we do have is a bone name craft base. Now this is my base bone, and if I remember rightly, when I looked at the Manta in the editor, engine is a base bone as well. Okay, so that's a good tip, just put that one in there. Now if I go on to my one, let's just scroll down to the default properties. Here we go. As you can see here, bone name, craft base. Now we have to do this on all 3 thrusters. Now I obviously expect if you have a bigger sort of like hovercraft type vehicle, then you might, and it goes too slow, you might need to add a couple of more thrusters. Don't forget, if you're adding more or reducing, okay, you need to change these numbers. Wheels 1 or wheel 0, you always start with 0, 1 and 2. Okay. Now what else do we need to change? Well, let's be honest, nothing, because all these little settings should actually work for us. Here's one that people might like. B can be base for pawns, e.g. pawns can stand on it while somebody else is driving. Might be a nice trick if you can get a few mates together and play online or over a LAN game. Right, okay, enough of my banter on that side. So really on this case, all we have to remember to do in the main vehicle file is go back to the main one, obviously change the name and save it, remove the native, go down to the bottom and change the bone name for what the thruster is attached to. Okay, you can change the offsets, as you can see here, if you want slightly different placements. Okay, might help with the handling of the vehicle. It's something you can play with. Vehicle radius, or wheel radius I should say, suspension track, lots of little things that you can play around with to see how the vehicle will handle. Okay, next file that we have to deal with is the content file. Now if I'm just, there we go, Manta content, and let's see if I can get my hovercraft one there, put that there, vehicle content, yeah, okay, Manta content. Now if you look at this top line here, UT vehicle Manta content extends from UT vehicle Manta. I'll just go over to my one. As you can see, Geo hovercraft content extends from UT vehicle Geo hovercraft. Okay, so what do we have to change on this? Yet again, up in the top section, not a great deal. Now you'll see these: boost start, crush stop, Manta on fire. You might at some stage want to change these. What they're for, I keep on saying it, I don't know. Okay, because this is just a very basic intro to what you need to get this type of vehicle in game and playing it. If you want to go further, you're going to have to learn a lot more code than what I know about. Okay, let's stop burbling and get on with this. Now, default properties. Your basic collision cylinder. Now if your collision's not going right, then you can change the values on this. Height, radius. Okay, the next section, the skeletal mesh, vehicle mesh. Now this is where you need all your content that we put in our list. Okay, it says Manta mesh, vehicle mesh. Right, we'll look at my one. Okay, just go down here. Here we go. As you can see here, we have skeletal mesh vehicle hovercraft, the anim tree for the hovercraft, the physics asset, and the morph target set. These all need to be set in here in this little section of code. Okay. Now in the last video I was actually doing this, just copy and pasting, and yeah, okay. As you can see, this even just showing you is taking a fair bit of time. So the next one you need to change is in the seats, and this gives you the gun class. Now a little thought I had last night, that if you're wanting to have extra passengers on your vehicle and they don't have any weapons, you could maybe make that a camera class. I'm Not too sure whether that would work or not. It was just a little brainwave that I had. Might be something to try out at a later date. But anyway, now obviously we changed the name to UT Vehicle Weapon Geo Hovercraft Gun. Now if you remember, we put in the gun sockets 1 and gun socket 2 in the mesh. Then in the anim tree we put in gun rotate left, gun rotate right. Okay. Camera tag view socket. Remember, we put the socket in. Camera offset lets you, instead of having to go into the editor all the time, you can actually move the camera offset. Seat icon position, that's to get your little icon showing. Now chances are at the moment you can only pick on the Manta icon, and don't really know if it's possible as of yet to get your own vehicle icons in there. A camera base offset, more values for the camera. Oh yeah, before we go in up down there. Now driver damage, multi, whatever. B seat visible. Set to true, because otherwise you won't see your little character driving it. Okay. You can set that to false if he's in a turret and then the vehicle's enclosed, but we want it true, so we'll leave it at that. Now the next line is very important. Your weapon effects. Socket name, gun socket 1, as mentioned up here. Now this gives you an offset to play with, so you can change it in code without having to go into the editor. And scale it. Okay. Now you have to do the exact same for the number 2 socket. Okay. Okay. I keep saying okay, okay, okay. Yeah, stop it. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Bad habit, I know. Right. Next things we're looking at here are the sound classes or the sound cues. I'm not going to deal with them. If you want to deal with them, you'll have to work out how to make up a sound package and then just enter the names in there. As you can see, engine sound. I mean, if you want it to sound like a lawnmower, then go for it. Yeah. This is where things get a little bit complicated. Is the vehicle's effects list. Now, as you can see, I've edited quite a few of these out, purely because I'm quite certain I did not add any of these sockets. Now I might have done the tailpipe ones, I can't remember off the top of my head, but we definitely need the ones with the gun sockets. This gets you, as you can see here, the muzzle flashes. If you don't have that in, you don't get no muzzle flash. Next one's down, damage smoke. Obviously once you start taking damage you want it to start smoking, so we've got that one in. And yet again the particle effects, Manta on fire, Manta on fire, Manta on fire. Yeah, okay. Yep, there we go. Some effect sockets. And if we go down to the bottom, you got to add the rest of the rubbish in there. Now I say rest of the rubbish, when you're doing coding like this, even on a simple vehicle like this, you're going to be looking at an hour to 2 hours getting this all in, which is why I suggest having my list, so you just copy and paste, because there's a lot of stuff to go in there. You've got your team materials, red and blue. You've got your spawn materials, red and blue. You've got your physics materials, driving and stationary. You've got your burnout materials, remembering this time instead of being the material instant constants, they're the material instant time varying. Yep. And there we go at the bottom. Now I'm going to go back up here because I can't see it at the moment. Where is it? Where is it? I'm looking for something very, very important, he said. I couldn't find it yesterday, and I had to search and search and search because I had to change the names on it. Ah dear, what a wally. Where is it? Now what I'm looking for, I'll just show you on the other file is the Manta gun. Now, as you can see, very small file on this. So I just copy that. You'll notice this little line there, hide drop down, because basically it's just an extending, well, it says here extends off vehicle weapon, which also extends off weapon, which when you start playing around with the swapping the weapons around, if you don't have this, then it will come up in the mutator or on the weapon bases, and I think you might get problems if you're trying to run around with the Manta gun. Okay, now where's my he says looking up here, it is up here. I can't see for the wood for the trees, as he says. Yeah, Manta gun, there we go, nice big name, there we go. Okay, now the thing is, what you have to watch for in here is, now I'm keeping the weapon projectile class, as you can see, it's a projectile weapon, hasn't got a secondary fire. Shame, I might have to do something about that. Anyway, these two lines here are quite important. Now, you've got your vehicle class. Obviously, this is linking it back to your vehicle content file. So make sure you've got that name correct. But it's this little bit up here, the fire trigger tags. Now, if I will just copy that. Go to my, if you can find it, you can't, that's the Manta, there we go. Now I'm just going to go find this for me, because I'm fed up with hunting up and down. It was not found. Strange, he said. Right, so we've got not the factory, your Wally. Where is it? Content. Now I know it's here somewhere. There we go. Let's see if we can find it. Is that in there? Is it in there? It's not in there. I'm going to go loopy. Yeah. It is. Trust me, it is in here somewhere, and I will find it. It's probably me being from cursor. We don't want it from the cursor. We want it from the top. There we go. In the vehicle. Blind as a bat, as he says. Now, vehicle effects. Effect start tag, Geo, hovercraft, weapon 01. As you can see here, if we follow this line along, effect template, particle systems, we're going to use the Manta gun flash and effects to the socket. Now that is where it links up to with the gun. Where's the gun? There's the gun. There we go. Now, I've known it to work without actually changing it. Let's go to the Manta gun. I've actually compiled the code and not realised to change these, and it works. But I do advise changing these fire tags, because if you don't and you have another Manta on the map and that's firing, yours might start firing as well, and you might not want that. So there's a little word of warning. Now we're getting a bit long in the tooth yet again, so let's just see if I can get rid of these Manta files. Vehicle factory, Manta, there we go. Alright, so a quick run through. Factory, look at the ones that you have to change. Skeletal mesh, vehicle path. Content, a lot to change in there. As you can see, the vehicle effects, all the materials, not forgetting the bits up here in the skeletal mesh section and the weapon. Okay, in the main file, don't forget to remove the native. Go down to the bottom and change the bone name for which the thrusters are attached to. And of course, with the gun, change the name of the vehicle class and the fire trigger tags. Now there's one last little thing that we need to play with, and I'll show you this because I've already prepared it. We go into the config files folder, and we have to make a GeoHovercraft ini file. This is what it looks like. Well, let's just pull that into context and put it in there. Now, as you can see by the name, I've called it GeoHovercraft ini. Now, in there you have the vehicle content file name, UT UI data provider vehicle, vehicle class equals UT vehicle hovercraft content. Now that is not going to work correctly, I can see that. So what we'll just very quickly do is go into there. As you can see, I put the wrong name in that. So very quickly, if I can find it. Is it in there? We go. We need the code package name. Copy. Paste that into there. There we go. Class name UT3 GeoHovercraft code package, and the content name, the UT GeoCraft content, and obviously the friendly name. Now, why do we need this? Because when we want to try this in game, you can either make your own map up and use that, or if you want to actually use it in a pre-made map, as you can see, well prepared here, you're going to need some form of mutator. Now, you can use Captain Snarf's, which is a very good mutator, which he brought out very early in the mod scene, which has helped me a lot with my mod. But you can also use this one, which is a lot more advanced and a lot more user friendly, I believe, from the guys at the XS Vehicles development team. Now, you got Mr. Farseer himself, who's recently joined that team, and what they've put together is this lovely little vehicle set replacement mutator. Now, you'll see me using this. Now, this is where to get it, beta releases, so if you want it, go grab it. Okay, we'll be using this in the next video when we test it in game, but I just want to give the guys a big shout, because it is a very nice mutator, and as you can see, this is how to make your ini file. And a big shout goes out to Farseer and Six himself, who's been a long-term UT supporter, doing lots of coding for people, and obviously the XS mod page. Okay, now we're going to leave that at that, apart from saying one thing: you got to compile it. Now you're going to go, oh no, how do we compile it? Well, at the moment it won't compile, for the simple reason, the one last thing that you have to do before you go into compile is go into your UT editor ini. I'll just double click on that, open it in the editor, go down to the bottom. Now I always go right to the bottom because I know it's down near here, and go up ever so slowly until you reach a section called mod packages. Now, in there you need to add the line mod packages equals UT3 GeoHovercraft, which is the name of our code package. Now, you can see the other ones that I've been working on recently. Just put a semicolon in there so it won't compile. Now, at the moment it probably still won't compile because I haven't changed any of my code files. So don't forget, add that line, hit save, spiking, save. Don't need to do that on this one because it's already done. Now we go here, and one of the little tricks I learnt long ago is just do that, you get the little asterisk, save it, so now the editor thinks it's been changed, and all we have to do now is double click on your UT3 editor icon. Now this is where it says, do you really want to? Yeah, because it's Vista and it's a pain, even though I am the administrator. And you get this little sign come up, scripts are out of date, would you like to rebuild? And you go, yes please. Now if that doesn't come up, it either means you haven't made any changes, or you forgot to save, or you haven't put that little bit in the editor ini file. Okay, now I'm getting a bit rushed here because my time's running out, and if this doesn't work very quick, I'm going to be scuppered. Here we go. You get this lovely little listing window coming up, and it goes yeah. There we go. Smash. Absolutely fan-dabby-dozy, it's all compiled. You go close that. Now I'm going to reopen this. One last thing, when you're compiling code, if you get the so-called I error, go back to your code files, tools, convert to text, Unicode. Okay, now don't forget to do that, and you should be okay. Any problems, give me a shout on the forums. The next video we're going to actually show this in game and have a little bit of fun driving around the maps. Okay, so I'll see you very soon.